tensions that have not been resolved between Lisa Bonet, together with Jason Momoa, had been simmering for. Their divorce had been a quiet one for months. Friendly relationship, but nothing could get them ready for the time when their once more paths crossed. What began as a straightforward conversation swiftly turned into something much more sinister. Old annoyances, long hidden below the surface, it exploded with a power neither had expected at that moment. The thoughtfully planned separation between they disintegrated, leaving behind only the unadulterated force of unresolved pain. The ensuing conflict would depart a permanent mark on both of them that neither distance nor time could ever remove. A fairy tale's parabola. Jason, the romance between Lisa Bonet and Momoa, began long before they actually met. Life as a kid, Jason initially turned into enthralled with his future spouse on. As an adolescent, he would watch television. The famous Cosby Show, in which Bonet depicted the effortlessly cool, and he was enamored with the stunning Denise Huxtable. By her, which he frequently admitted to his buddies with whom he was meant to be married. He had no idea that one day one day, fantasy would come true. Jason's fantasy in 2005 took an unexpected turn at a jazz club where he and Lisa first met. Then, Jason was just starting to establish a reputation in Hollywood, but his respect for Lisa had only increased. Over time, their relationship was instantaneous, and it was evident that the friendship was more than just mutual appeal even at the age of 12. Despite their differences, they had an indisputable chemistry based on their common ideals and spiritual perspectives on life. Both possessed a deep appreciation of nature and a powerful dedication to one's family, and these similarities created the groundwork for a enduring partnership in 2017. Following additional, Jason and Lisa have been together for almost 10 years. Decided to get married at the wedding occurred in a modest, private ceremony at their Topanga Canyon residence. Their family life prospered in California as they brought 2 kids into the 2007's world, daughter Lola and son, the Bonet Momoa, in 2008, with Nakoa Wolf. The home was a combination of domesticity and the excitement of stardom in Hollywood, but as Jason's career reached hitherto unheard of heights, the demands of his recently discovered fame began to have a major impact on his personal. His schedule was getting more and more full of lengthy days spent promoting on-site red carpets and events, leaving him with not much time for anything else. Regretfully, this implied that he was frequently away from home, away from family that he had put so much effort into creating. Lisa, however, had always discovered satisfaction with the security of her Los Angeles home life was extremely based in the neighborhood and centered on bringing up their kids and keeping up the haven for the family. While Jason's career flourished, but she had always encouraged his aspirations, their separation started to get strained. The couple's relationship was once peaceful existence based on common objectives, and the affection between them was gradually eroding in the face of Jason's rapid rise to fame. As Jason's absences were increasingly recurring hints of stress in their marriage, it became impossible to overlook there were a lot of tabloids and gossip blogs. There have been rumors that Jason was linked with his blossoming stardom with someone else's, causing him to distance himself from his wife. Reports of infidelity started to surface, with a few claiming that he filmed late at night Meetings and glitzy occasions were just a pretext to partake in a novel lifestyle in which Lisa was no longer. Where the fire was being fueled was the public and continuous relationship between Lisa with her former spouse, the renowned Lenny Kravitz, a rock star during the friendly friendship was centered only on sharing custody of their daughter Zoe. Outsiders started to notice how close they were, as if Lisa and Lenny were still had a close relationship that was frequently clear from their interactions that they would occasionally seen together at gatherings, or in pictures of families that seemed to display a closeness that some people found difficult for the general population to ignore. This just appeared to deepen an already complicated and peculiar circumstance. This simmering dissatisfaction eventually resulted in the startling declaration that one thought the wonderful story would end, but the surprising tension had only just started, separating the public from the media frenzy. Early in 2024, Jason and Lisa's response stunned the globe with a surprising news that left supporters in the media was completely shocked by the couple's choose to keep the news separate from nowhere in particular, as years they were considered to be among Hollywood's most dependable and adored pairings there. The relationship has always been depicted ideal pair of prosperous people who had been able to balance their professional lives, personal and family lives with seeming comfort. So when they disclosed that they were saying goodbye, the news came as a thunderclap that echoes through social media sources and circles of celebrities. Their social media posts with their statement. Media channels were succinct but powerful. After giving it some serious thought, we have taken the challenging choice to. Despite our separation, we are steadfastly dedicated to our kids and will keep working. In order to guarantee their welfare, we request that our privacy be protected throughout. During this period of change, thank you for your assistance and comprehension during the post was courteous and measured. Not much to stop the growing storm of speculations and rumors that ensued. The headlines were overflowing with theories about implying that Jason is rapidly career had resulted in an increase in emotions distance, whereas others indicated more sensational allegations of adultery. The media is constantly lusting for the most salacious details were irresistible, more thoroughly in all facets of their lives. Looking through their prior appearances and examinations for indications of fractures in their ostensibly perfect union, yet the media frenzy persisted in circulating. Jason and Lisa appeared to make an effort and deal with the fallout from their separation with a subliminal emphasis on their divorce settlement with their children. Was a silent turning point that said their primary goal was to move, rather than pulling one another down. Lisa and Jason both waved spousal support, a unique celebrity move. Separations indicating that they were more eager to proceed separately rather than participating in a protracted financial dispute. They choice to forego financial entanglements showed a distinct realizing that their estrangement wasn't about success or failure, but rather about putting what really mattered first. Their family, which includes the couple's 2 kids, Nakoa and Lola Wolf, were central to both parents, and this agreement declared a shared commitment to co-parenting to make sure the welfare of children would continue to be their principal emphasis in remarks delivered in public. Following the settlement, Lisa and Jason each showed respect for one another. This sentiment further shocked a lot of people who had observed their turbulent journey. Jason is always the expert commended Lisa for being a remarkable mother and spouse in their joint accountability for their children's upbringing. Lisa expressed her appreciation for the years they had been together and highlighted her ongoing respect for even Jason's commitment to their family. If their love affair had developed, however, the tone of their speech ended. Being cautious was honest, and it was obvious that they were dedicated to upholding moving a cordial, cooperative connection. Send a message that wasn't only for the press, but something that they actually seemed to be in the best interests of their children. But as time went on, reopened wounds resulted in increased friction between the two, particularly as Jason moved on and found a new partner. Adria Arona. Jason and Jason's beginnings. The connection between Momoa and Adria, an actress Arona, started soon after the divorce. To Lisa's dismay, the initial indications of in May 2024, a romance began to grow. When Jason was observed having dinner with Japanese pals, but this wasn't simply any informal meal, will have sparks flying between Adria and him were evident, and murmurs regarding their relationship developed into a serious one. Speculation, the mystery only grew more complex. Jason posted something on social media, calling Adria Momoa in Spanish. For my sweetie, it was the type of private gesture that revealed Jason was more than any statement could express. The public was smitten and couldn't get enough, and every detail was consumed by the media, making assumptions about the dynamics and chronology of their recently discovered love. By February, by 2025, the pair had come out of hiding. Jason and Adria's shadows cast their initial public appearance, united at the New York SNL 50 party city, and it was absolutely the chemistry between them was tremendous. Unquestionably, red carpet photos caught the pair in times of unadulterated delight in their body language and grins. The arrival of the pair speaks volumes. Together at a prominent event like this was a strong declaration that the partnership was permanent. It was a daring action, which only fueled the increasing interest in their romance, although Adria wasn't merely a newbie to the life of 33-year-old Jason. In Puerto Rican, actresses were already gaining popularity. Make a name for herself in Hollywood, playing the lead in the movie Blink Twice. Zoe Kravitz, Jason's former director, the stepdaughter, offered a surprising dimension of the situation's intricacy fans and industry experts were unable to overlook. Adria's relationship with the Kravitz family was it a coincidence, or was there another reason? To the narrative, the intersection of professional relationships and private life only made the relationship more fascinating, with a lot of making assumptions about how Jason's relationship would come into play with Zoe's family. The friendship between Jason and Adria behind the scenes becoming more powerful every day, and their public excursions increased in frequency, and Jason's chemistry is more obvious than ever. The enthusiasts on social media shared glimpses of their time spent together, with snippets of their romance, escapes in which the pair seemed disoriented in their own universe, own time. In Japan is a country full of calm moments and laughter, merely made it more apparent that this wasn't. It was more than a brief romance, it was the actual resolve. This friendship for Jason with Adria appeared to usher in a new era in his life, in which he was able to overcome the lingering effects of his divorce from Lisa and adopt a fresh perspective on contentment, the burden of his history. Adria's troubles appeared to lessen. presence and the happiness he radiated was recognizable. Admirers who had seen him traverse the agonizing fallout from his split could see how he was different. At last, grinning once more in a manner that felt sincere and burden-free, although not all, was pleased with Lisa's new chapter. Still getting used to life following their divorce, she was forced to navigate a sea of complex feelings, the existence of another woman in the lives of her children wasn't going to be simple, but as Audrey and Jason's friendship turned into, Lisa had a harder time hiding when she was more visible. Her frustration and animosity in their co-parenting relationship, it was formerly packed with. Now, comprehension was influenced by the tension as Jason continues to go on. For Lisa, openly speaking, this wasn't only concerning the dissolution of a marriage, it was about a new world she hadn't expected, where Jason's new partner turned into an unquestionably a part of her kids' lives. She was unable to shake the increasing feeling of loss despite her attempts at reconciliation. This new relationship had arrived with it too soon, it changed too fast, and now it threatens to obliterate the. She was having trouble maintaining her footing for the benefit of her kids and for what she questioned whether Jason was putting their children's welfare for a mother he seldom couldn't understand what he was teaching them. He realizes how impolite his behavior is. Were directed at their mother, the individual he had declared that he would adore for eternity. Jason's new connection wasn't the only one. The thing that caused conflict with Audrey was the manner in which he addressed issues that actually pushed Lisa to the brink, ascending tensions. Lisa's largest altercation. Anger reached a breaking point. Jason's apparent eagerness to assimilate Audrey entered their household, introducing her to Nakoa, their children. It was during one of these times that Lola exchanges that reveal Lisa's feelings. Eventually, one afternoon, Jason created his routine phone call to see how the kids are doing. A habit that used to feel like a vital link for everyone, but this time, after talking, something changed. Jason handed the phone to his kids, over to Audrey in anticipation of the children. Talked to her about the audacity as well. Fury was triggered by the gesture. Lisa's suggestion that another lady would have such a close role in the lives of the children were too much for her to bear. Lisa's tone wavered in rage as, unable to contain herself, she went up to Jason. No longer. My kids don't require a stepmother humming lullabies for a good night. She yelled her words into the phone. Her voice was piercing and biting. Showed a strong feeling of betrayal and feelings of frustration that had been seething for months beneath the surface. Audrey was not the only target of the rage, it also regarding the intense sense of loss. The feeling that her relatives were failing away from her in ways that she was unable to. Conversely, control. Jason was surprised that he hadn't expected the severity of Lisa's response, that he had been attempting to solve the situation on his own manner, thinking that time would cure the injuries sustained during their divorce and that Lisa would ultimately come to embrace Audrey's existence, but the more he made an effort to defend his behavior, the more Lisa's tension increased as the rage reached a new height. Upon Jason's request that he and Audrey are accompanied by Nakoa to the March saw the release of the Minecraft film 2025, he was aware of the boy's passion for the game and would adore the film, hoping to accompany him on the red carpet he demonstrated up to Lisa's residence during her entertaining some pals, but if he anticipated a friendly, he was greatly misguided as soon as, when she seen him in the driveway. According to reports, Lisa told her friends she had to remind her former spouse that he couldn't arrive without warning while Jason approached the house. She made some jokes that make reference to his immaturity, to the 12-year age gap that exists between. Her pals chuckled freely as he and Jason cleaned the floor together, and when Jason walked up to them, it was obvious that he was. Despite being extremely ashamed, he politely requested Lisa's okay to bring their son to the film's debut, thinking she would agree right away, but Lisa bluntly declined, stating that Nakoa would not spending time with Adria. No stepmoms? She refused to hide the underlying hatred she had for Jason's expression clenched with the disdain, and Lisa's voice stung him, but the fundamental power. She put effort into every facet of their life of his son that really enraged him. "You can't control everything," he said, back his remarks with a hint of annoyance. "I have the right to because Nakoa is also my son. Make choices on his behalf." His tone was increasing the room's tension and turning it into. It was evident that he had been understanding of Lisa's long-term demands, but now he was intent on taking a stand. But Lisa, crossing her arms, she refused to back down. Her expression across her chest was one of blatant disobedience. "Not this time," she said. "You won't take him there, I promise. I won't allow you put him in that premiere." Circumstances, it was evident that she wasn't only discussing the premiere, that she was talking about something more profound. An issue that had been brewing for years of their continuous battle for dominance. Supervising the raising of their kids, Jason. His blood was boiling, yet he was unable to ponder the extent to which Lisa was willing to. In order to prevent their son from being around him, he attempted to co-parent with regard and comprehension, but Lisa's reluctance to make any concessions. He felt as though he had matured, although weary of her dictating everything about their kids, particularly at this time that he was attempting to construct ties with Adria. "This isn't simply regarding the premiere," Jason remarked. His voice was shaking with annoyance. Losing it all and not giving a damn that others were observing his tantrum. "You're attempting to exert control over each aspect of my life and making use of the kids to discipline me. Why do you always must make everything really challenging?" The dispute went on for what seemed like hours, with either party prepared to support down Jason's resolve to provide. The premiere of Nakoa was about more than that. Beyond the actual incident, it had evolved into a representation of the larger struggle for authority over Lisa that he desired to demonstrate to her his ability to create his own choices that were not made for their son, merely a passive observer in their arrangement for co-parenting, but Lisa on the yet was as committed to. She wasn't prepared to establish her power. Allowed Jason to win the argument. Observed by a number of family friends who claimed to have heard Jason yell at Lisa before he sped off in his vehicle. Their argument had come to a halt, not allowing his son to be. Jason is caught up in the turmoil. Choose to go to the premiere by themselves. He felt conflicted after making the choice. Had anticipated Nakoa would accompany him. However, Lisa's denial had made it apparent that he wasn't engaged in combat. To triumph in spite of the psychological cost it take him on, he proceeded with his plans. The London premiere was a amazing occasion, and Jason and Adria drawn attention as they descended. Jason on the red carpet wearing a striking purple velvet outfit that radiates self-assurance and fashion sense, whereas Adria matched. He looked stunning in a flowing lavender. Together, they made a statement with their attire, demonstrating not just their expanding connection, but also their mutual presence in the world's spotlight. As a power couple, they were. Premieres served as a time to commemorate that. However, even as they bask in the glitz and glitter of, Jason couldn't get rid of with resentment eating at him, he was enraged with Lisa, not only to stop Nakoa from going to the function but for her persistent meddling in his life. He felt degraded not only by the lack of his son, but given his lack of authority, appeared to contradict Lisa's steadfast control. Would this be the course of his life? Would he need to constantly plead with his ex-wife? He desired to spend more time with his kids, and would he ever have the ability to relish having his children around and only in the same room with his girlfriend? Time would tell, but not at this time. Are likely to be the future. The incidents that occurred for Lisa and Jason. The evening is a crucial, nearly unimaginable point in the partnership between Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet. Once Lisa and Jason had made their way through the difficulties of living after separation with a feeling of elegance their kids always prioritized over anything else, but that the emotional rift on that tragic evening between them became clearly visible. What used to seem like a collaboration based on understanding and respect today feels as though a